Discover the incredible truth. 7 transformative actions to shape your destiny today. Emma sat quietly in the charming yet crumbling café, the air thick with the bittersweet aroma of coffee and freshly baked pastries. There was beauty in its weathered walls, remnants of her father's dream. Yet, as bills piled up and customers dwindled, it felt more like a burden than a sanctuary. Each creaking floorboard echoed the weight of unfulfilled dreams, and the pressure was tightening around her throat like a vice. How was she supposed to keep this place alive while raising an inquisitive 8-year-old? Her love for culinary arts was buried beneath the responsibilities of motherhood and the looming fear of financial ruin. Her heart raced as she wiped down the counter, a familiar tug of guilt gnawing at her conscience. Every time she picked up a whisk, she saw her own reflection. A mother simply trying to maintain a facade of stability for Lily. But what kind of role model was she being? The longing for adventure and creativity flared up inside her, yet practical concerns suffocated those hopes. Should she give up the cafe and pursue her dreams? What would that mean for Lily's future? It was a delicate balancing act, and it was crumbling in a moment of desperation. Emma began rummaging through the dusty shelves behind the counter. Her fingers stumbled upon an old recipe book, its spine cracked and pages yellowed. Intrigued, she opened it, revealing a collection of letters penned by her father. As she read through his words, a tidal wave of nostalgia washed over her. He spoke of passion igniting within him, yearning to become a chef that inspired others with his creative dishes. Emma's heart ached, realizing they had both been shackled by unfulfilled ambition. Could she transform this cafe into a beacon of love and culinary brilliance, just as he once envisioned? Before she could dwell on that thought, another sharp pang crushed her spirit. Jamie, the local restaurant owner, eyed her like a hawk, his resentment growing with each successful cooking night she hosted. He wanted the cafe out of the way. Emma was a threat to his business model. How could she move forward when the specter of competition loomed over her every decision? She could feel the tension in the air, like a storm on the horizon. And what if Jamie's aggression escalated? Her stomach knotted with unease. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let us continue. Emma clutched the recipe book like a lifeline, her mind racing. The notion of transformative actions her father mentioned began to swirl in her thoughts. But could she really? What if she faltered? What if Lily suffered from her risky choices? A relentless chorus of doubts filled her head. Did she have it in her? Could she create magic in this kitchen and break free from the stranglehold of her fears? The stakes were growing higher with each passing day as she prepared to confront the murky waters ahead. New information reached her that sent her pulse racing. Jamie, desperate to eliminate competition, had been trying to dissolve her lease. What would she do? Fight or back down? Emma's heart thudded hard in her chest, the pressure unbearable. She wasn't just fighting for the cafe anymore, she was battling to shape their future. As she stared into the depths of her dilemma, she felt a sudden spark igniting in her chest. The choice was hers, but the options loomed like dark shadows. Would she find the courage to reclaim her legacy and dreams, or would she remain shackled, paralyzed by the weight of what could be lost? Each moment teetered, on the brink of revelation, waiting for Emma to grasp her destiny. Emma took a deep breath, steadying herself as she felt the gravity of her situation. The yellowed pages of her father's recipe book were whispering secrets, wisdom wrapped in layers of flour and ambition. As she read his letter about the importance of passion in culinary art, a new fire surged through her. She couldn't let Jamie or any obstacle extinguish that passion. The cafe meant more than just a business. It was a legacy, a haven where memories were cooked to perfection. She needed to strategize. What could she do to reclaim her space? The answer lay in her father's words. Emma began to envision special cooking nights that not only featured her creations, but were imbued with stories of her father, a culinary journey paired with personal anecdotes. These nights would be unlike anything Jamie's restaurant offered. They could be intimate, community-driven experiences that resonated with her clientele and attracted new faces. Determined, Emma sketched her ideas on a napkin, her heart racing with excitement. She thought of a theme Memory Mondays, where she could entice customers with nostalgic dishes that told a story. Her father's recipes would serve as the backbone, but Emma would add her own twist, reflecting her journey as both a chef and a mother. It was time to redefine what the café stood for. In the space of a few hours, the café's stale air transformed into something vibrant and alive. Emma felt an electric anticipation she hadn't experienced in years. She spent the next few days preparing her menu, hiring a local musician to provide ambience, and decorating the café to create a warm, inviting environment. It wasn't just about food. It was about connection. Then came the moment when she had to face Jamie. As she straightened her shoulders, a mix of fear and defiance bubbled within her. She would confront him, not just as a rival but as a woman determined to carve out her own future. With each step toward his restaurant, she reminded herself that fear was just a part of the process. Jamie was taken aback when she strode confidently into his eatery. "I'm here to talk," she said, her voice steady. "The café's slipping," he retorted, smugness lacing his words. "Why waste your time?" Emma swallowed hard, forcing her heart to stay calm. "I'm not wasting my time. I'm launching something new, a cooking night that celebrates culinary memory. This isn't just about a café. It's about community, and you might want to rethink how you approach this competition." She could see the flicker of surprise in his eyes. Then came the storm of disdain. "You think people will choose your tired little café over my established brand?" Emma stood her ground. "I believe in what I'm building, Jamie. If you want to keep your customers, you better be prepared to innovate too." As she walked away, the stakes had never been higher. Her heart pounded not just from confrontation but from the hope reigniting within her. The battle was far from over, and her resolve had sharpened. She saw a path, however narrow, illuminated by her father's spirit and her own burgeoning strength. Back at the café, she began setting up for her Memory Monday. The tables were adorned with simple flowers and handwritten menus. As the evening approached, a new layer of anxiety wove into her anticipation. Would people show up? Would they believe in her again? As she placed the last item on the table, she felt a knot of uncertainty in her stomach. It was no longer a question of battling Jamie. It was about reclaiming her identity as a chef and a mother. The clock ticked closer to opening time, and a mixture of excitement and fear took root within her. Would this night be a pivotal step toward her dreams, or would it plummet her deeper into despair? Emma stood at the brink, trembling with possibility. The moment had come to confront not only her competition but the tightly wound doubts within her. She was ready to take her stand. And as the bell above the door chimed for the first arrival, she felt a rush of clarity. This was her time to shine, for herself and for Lily. But in the back of her mind, she remained aware of Jamie's looming influence and the potential for sabotage. The real struggle had just begun. Would she manage to turn the tide in her favor? Or would Jamie's dark shadow silence her emerging flame? Emma's heart raced as the first guests began to trickle into the café. The familiar sound of the bell above the door filled her with an electrifying blend of hope and dread. Each newcomer felt like a small victory, yet a lingering worry gnawed at her. Would this evening truly reclaim her identity? Or would the shadows of self-doubt and Jamie's competition loom larger? As she welcomed her guests with a warm smile, she noticed a few familiar faces, patrons who had once been regulars at her café. The atmosphere buzzed with an eager curiosity, a hunger for the stories she was ready to share. She glanced at the handwritten menus, each one showcasing her father's recipes infused with her own modern flair. The first dish was her father's famous beef stew, steeped in tradition, but she had added a hint of smoked paprika, a nod to her journey of blending the past with her present. The first couple seated at a table by the window asked about the theme. Emma felt a rush of confidence. This was her moment. Memory Mondays. she began, her voice growing more assured as she spoke. The meals you'll enjoy tonight have all been inspired by memories my own, and those I've gathered from family and friends. Each dish represents a piece of who I am. As she spoke, she locked eyes with Lily, who was helping serve drinks. Emma felt a surge of determination, fueled by her daughter's presence. She had to do this, not just for herself but for Lily's future. She was a chef worthy of her father's legacy, capable of nurturing not just her cafe but also her daughter's dreams. The first course was served, and as the guests savored the beef stew, she observed their reactions. The warmth spread across their faces, laughter bubbled over shared stories, and that initial flicker of hope began to grow stronger within Emma. Then, amid the enjoyment, she heard a familiar voice. Jamie. He had arrived, leaning against the doorframe, arms crossed, wearing that all-too-familiar smirk. Emma's heart sank for a moment. How had he known about the night? Surely he didn't undercut it in the shadow of her newfound courage? But she couldn't let him disrupt what was happening. With a deep breath and a slight nod to Lily, who was now serving dessert, Emma made her way toward Jamie. "You're brave to come here," she said, her voice steady despite the swirling anxiety within her. "Or foolish," he shot back nonchalantly. "You really think this gimmick will work? Nostalgia is a fleeting thing." His words, wrapped in contempt, threatened to tip the balance of her courage. But Emma felt the strength of her guests' laughter pulsing through her. She straightened her posture, refusing to let his words land. "It's not about gimmicks, Jamie. It's about people sharing memories over food, creating bonds. Something your restaurant lacks." He arched an eyebrow, and for a brief moment, she could see a flicker of uncertainty beneath his bravado. "Is that so?" he countered. "Or is it just a band-aid on your floundering cafe? You might just be buying time." A tightness in Emma's chest reassured her. It was a reminder that his words could only hold weight if she allowed them to. "Perhaps, but at least I'm choosing to fight for it." The determination in her voice surprised herself. "Enjoy your little night while it lasts," he replied coolly, backing away and slipping out the door as she returned to her tables. A sense of relief washed over her. The night was still unfolding, and while Jamie's presence had momentarily dampened her spirits, it had not extinguished the light she was beginning to rekindle. Throughout the evening, stories flowed with each course. Guests shared their memories tied to food. Laughter filled the room, and with every smile, Emma's confidence grew. She was not just reclaiming a cafe. She was rewriting her narrative. By the end of the night, with the tables emptying and guests bidding her farewell, Emma felt something new settling in. A commitment to innovation, growth, and resilience had taken root within her. She realized that this was only the beginning. What she faced was no longer just Jamie and his dismissive attitude but the broader challenges of maintaining momentum and igniting the passion she'd recently rediscovered. Yet, deep down, she knew this hadn't just been an event. It was a turning point. Emma glanced at the now cluttered tables, nostalgic once again for what had just transpired. Her cafe had become a vessel for her father's legacy and her own evolution, and she was prepared for what came next. Beyond the cafe doors, a sense of foreboding loomed as she contemplated her next steps. Would Jamie retaliate further? Would her newfound sense of purpose survive the challenges that lay ahead? The stakes had increased, and uncertainty lingered like the last note of a sweet melody. Tomorrow she would need to strategize again. The real battle of identity was just beginning. The morning sun filtered through the cafe windows, casting warm rays over the remnants of last night's reminiscences. Emma wiped down tables, still buzzing from the success of Memory Mondays. Yet amid the satisfaction lingered an undercurrent of anxiety, tightening the nerves in her stomach with every clink of a dish or brew of coffee. The cafe felt alive but also fragile, and the thrill of last night quickly transformed into a pressing concern about sustaining this newfound momentum as she brewed her first pot of coffee. Images of Jamie's smirk crept into her mind. Still fresh was the sting of his words, an insidious question lodged deep within her consciousness. Was she merely postponing the inevitable? She shook her head, willing herself to focus. Today wasn't about Jamie. It was about carving her own path. With a renewed sense of purpose, Emma devised a list of ideas that could accentuate her café's identity. Her fingers danced over the notebook pages, drafting family recipe Fridays and seasonal ingredient Sundays. Each concept echoed not only her heritage but also her personal narrative. She envisioned her customers pouring through her doors, excited to engage with the stories each dish told. Stall, 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 and yet she still felt a weight pushing down on her chest. The doorbell rang, jolting her from her thoughts. A familiar face entered, a loyal customer, Mrs. Wilson, who had been with Emma since the café's inception. "Morning, dear," Mrs. Wilson exclaimed, her vibrant smile filling the café with warmth. Emma felt an immediate lift in her spirits. "Good morning, Mrs. Wilson. Coffee?" she asked, her heart warming at the prospect of connection. "Yes, please. And do you know, I was just telling my daughter about your beef stew? She wants the recipe." Emma's heart swelled with pride, evidence of her labor now transcending the café. This was her moment, the kind of affirmation Jamie would never provide. "I believe I can share that," she replied, excitement breaching through her apprehension. As she moved about the café, she realized this was precisely what she needed, not just strategies but engagement, community, connection. However, beneath the surface, a more profound question began to bud. Could her identity truly shift from a person surviving in Jamie's shadow to a beacon of creativity in its own right? The room felt charged as she started reflecting on the potential of her culinary story. She pulled out another sheet of paper, heading a new list. What defines Emma? The possibilities swirled in her mind. Beyond family recipes were her influences, her father, of course, but also her travels, her adventurous spirit, and a simmering desire to explore fusion cuisine. Every dish could represent a piece of her identity. She paused, contemplating a bold new direction. Fusion flavor nights, where each month could highlight a different international cuisine paired with local ingredients. A knock echoed, pulling her from her reverie. It was Jamie, unexpected and unwelcome. His eyes scanned the café, and for a fleeting moment, she wondered if he sensed the vibrancy here, if he registered her shift in power. "Planning a new business strategy, I see." He smirked, hands tucked into his pockets. "It's called growth. Something you might want to consider," she shot back, a new steadiness in her voice. He leaned closer. "Don't get too comfortable, Emma. What do you think really makes a café work? It's not just memories, it's visibility and profit." Emma clenched her jaw. "And yet, it's quite telling that a memory can bring genuine connection. You can pressure clients to return, or you can earn their loyalty." She felt an exhilarating rush, a deeper understanding of her purpose blooming within her. His brow furrowed, caught off guard by her unexpected conviction. "All right, but remember, competition is a battlefield. Play it smart." As he exited, Emma's heart raced. Not only had she faced Jamie, she had stood firm in her own identity. The exhilaration of this moment flooded her veins, illuminating her path forward. Yet as the door swung shut, behind him and silence enveloped her once more, another sense washed over her, the weight of responsibility. With plans bubbling on paper, how would she truly execute this vision against the backdrop of Jamie's looming presence? The day unspooled before her, each hour an opportunity for exploration. Would her plans resonate with the community she sought to build? Was she prepared to risk vulnerability for authenticity? Emma took a deep breath. She couldn't back down now. With fresh resolve, she grabbed her apron, prepared to welcome the day's challenges. But as she stirred her thoughts, one lingering question overlooked her preparations. Was she prepared for the twists in her narrative that lay ahead, both outside the café and within the depths of her own ambitions? The café hummed with life as customers drifted in, drawn by the comforting aroma of fresh coffee and the promise of a friendly atmosphere. Emma's chest tightened again at the thought of executing her vision. Today it was time to put her ideas into action. With the chalkboard menu still blank, she felt an electric pulse of anticipation, an opportunity presenting itself. She placed her notebook on the counter and glanced out the window, gathering resolve. If she was to gain visibility, it had to start within her walls, where every dish would narrate her story. "Good morning, Mindy." Emma greeted a new regular, her heart racing at the thought of using this occasion to debut her ideas. "Hey, Emma, what's new?" Mindy asked, taking her usual seat by the window. Emma leaned forward, excitement bubbling. "I'm thinking of starting something called Fusion Flavor Nights. Each month, I'll feature a different cuisine. This month, I'm considering Thai-inspired dishes with local ingredients." "Interested?" Mindy's eyes lit up. "Absolutely. It sounds unique. You have to differentiate your cafe more, you know? I love how you use local produce." Emma nodded, the weight easing from her chest. She scribbled Thai night in bold on her planning sheet and grinned. Positive feedback clung to her thoughts like sugar on a scone. A rush of ideas ignited as she moved through the morning. With each customer interaction, she sought thoughts and preferences about her new concept. She began forging connections, letting them know they were part of something bigger than just a meal. Oftentimes, the hesitant promptings of doubt softened in the wake of uplifting conversations. But the afternoon brought a more challenging encounter. The sun was beginning to dip when the cafe door swung open, revealing Jamie once more. The welcoming buzz of the cafe dimmed under his presence. He scanned the room, eyes landing on Emma with that same smirk. "Back again?" He taunted lightly, the atmosphere growing dense with tension. "Surprise, surprise," she replied, masking her unease. "What brings you here this time?" "Oh, wanted to see how your little experiments were faring. Talking with your customers, are you?" His voice dripped with derision. "Connecting with my community." Emma's voice didn't waver, but inside, a tempest swirled. Jamie sauntered closer, fixing her with an intense gaze. "You think your little fusion nights can compete with established names? Think again, Emma. They're about experience, image, everything you're trying to avoid." Each word pierced through her. Doubt slinked back into her mind, whispering its toxic refrain. Maybe he was right. Yet, in that moment of vulnerability, she recalled every heartfelt conversation, each encouraging nod she had encountered that morning. The significance of her journey came flooding back. "Growth takes time, Jamie," she said firmly, "and connections build loyalty." His smile faltered slightly, caught off guard by the fierceness in her voice. "Whatever you say." The dismissal lingered in the air, a warning yet unheeded. After he left, Emma slumped against the counter, grappling with the competing forces of fear and resolve. Was she truly prepared for the challenges that lay ahead? To reclaim her narrative not just as a cafe owner, but as an innovator. Her heart raced as she studied the chalkboard. It wasn't just about food. It was about courage. The kind that defied Jamie's lingering shadow. A knock at the door pulled her attention again. This time, it was a local food blogger Emma recognized from social media. Her heart fluttered with possibility. Now was not the time to shy away. Opening the door, she offered her brightest smile, ready to present her vision and truly showcase the spirit of her cafe. As they began discussing the upcoming Fusion Flavor Night, a spark ignited inside Emma. She could do this. She would not only expose herself to critique but also to belonging. However, the deeper question rumbled beneath her confidence. Could she truly transform her vision into reality while navigating Jamie's influences? With every ounce of excitement, she felt fear linger at the edges. The dialogue had begun, but the real battle was just heating up. Emma's journey had taken a bold turn. Would she embrace the unforeseen obstacles? And ultimately, could she redefine what success meant to her? The truth was closing in as the sun set, casting long shadows in the cafe. Emma knew she stood on the precipice of not just culinary innovation, but a personal metamorphosis as well. What would be her next strategic step in carving out her own destiny? Emma woke to the bright rays of morning light streaming through her cafe window, illuminating the chalkboard that now bore the words, "Fusion Flavor Night, Thai Cuisine." Despite the previous day's turmoil with Jamie, her heart swelled with hope. It was a new day, and today she would solidify her vision as she prepared her workspace. She focused on the logistics of the event, engaging her mind with the thrill of culinary creativity. With each movement from grinding coffee beans to clanging pans, she could almost feel the anticipation in the air. Every action had purpose. She was no longer merely a cafe owner. By claiming her narrative, she was entering the realm of innovator, a role she was starting to embrace. To tackle the upcoming challenges, Emma grabbed her notebook, her trusted companion in this journey. She scribbled down a list: create signature dishes, source local ingredients, design a marketing plan, and attract attention. The words seemed to leap off the page, igniting fierce excitement within her. First up was conceptualizing the signature dishes. Emma wanted to merge the aromatic spices of Thai cuisine with local ingredients that had, up until now, remained confined to familiar American dishes. She envisioned a coconut curry made with local squash and chicken seasoned just right. Engaging with the farmers at the market would not only yield fresh produce but deepen her local connections, creating a community buzz around her cafe. Throughout the morning, she roamed the market, purposefully engaging with farmers. Each conversation unearthed deeper insights about not just the ingredients, but about the community's passion for quality. As she spoke, she could see the pride in their faces and felt a tug of determination to embody that spirit within her cafe. This was no longer just her business. It was an embodiment of shared experiences and local authenticity. Creativity surged as she crafted her menu. She played with flavors, visualizing how she could draw unfamiliar customers into her cafe, charming them with not just food, but an inviting atmosphere that felt like home. Each dish required thought, passion, and an acute sense of presentation. She dared to experiment and play with the traditional, inspired by her newfound perspective, one that was all-encompassing within herself. After hours of creating recipes, she returned to the cafe filled with newfound energy. Each wall was a blank canvas, yearnings for her unique touch. She began rearranging the seating, so people could easily share dishes, fostering a communal spirit. She believed that if she could create the right atmosphere, customers would feel inspired to return again and again. As evening approached, Emma turned her focus to a crucial task: marketing her event. She spent hours crafting a social media campaign, using the food blogger's initial interest as a pivotal launchpad. Each post would highlight her local partnerships and the exciting flavors customers could expect for Fusion Flavor Night. Placing trust in her ideas, she envisioned people sharing her posts, creating a wave of curiosity about her cafe. That night, infused with belief, she ventured into the realm of possibility and action. A thin line of apprehension crept in, but tonight wasn't about that. It was about the journey. Just before closing, she received a notification on her phone, a confirmation that the food blogger would be attending her event. Suddenly, the weight of Jamie's words pulled at her chest again. Experience, image, yet this time her heart raced in defiance. She wondered if he could understand that vulnerability also meant courage. Could he ever appreciate that a part of the cafe's charm was its imperfection? To truly innovate and be authentic meant accepting her unrefined edges. With her determination reignited, Emma stood firmly at the intersection of growth and vulnerability. The following weeks promised uncertainty, yet she felt invigorated to take on every challenge that awaited her. As she locked up her cafe that night, she swung open the door to possibility. Emma's key wasn't just a means for opening her cafe. It was a symbol of her commitment to herself, a promise to remain authentic, no matter the stakes. Reflecting on the journey ahead, she understood that she would need to confront Jamie too. Somehow, she'd have to show him that her path, however daunting, was worth every risky step. Would her vibrant vision for the cafe stand strong against the shadows he cast? Emma woke the next morning with an electric pulse of determination coursing through her veins. The sun streamed through her cafe windows, but it wasn't just light filling the space. It was a conviction that today would be pivotal. She had a clearer vision, a promise to herself that she would cultivate a successful culinary landscape, even if it meant viewing Jamie's disapproval directly in the eyes. Pulling her notebook again from the drawer, she examined her goals. Create signature dishes, source local ingredients, design a marketing plan, attract attention. The words glared back, each item a beacon guiding her forward. But it wasn't just operational tasks. Today, She needed to unveil a deeper mission for herself, to show that an innovative approach could be successful without conforming to traditional standards. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee filled the cafe, mingling encouragingly with her thoughts. Emma brewed a pot as a ritualistic reminder of her commitment. As she sipped the rich, dark liquid, the flavors sparked her imagination. Today's focus wouldn't just be on the upcoming event. She needed to nurture her personal growth and challenge her limits. It was time to confront her vulnerabilities head-on. Carrying her notepad, she took a stroll to the market once more. Each vendor greeted her like an old friend, their sincerity rekindling her confidence. Today, however, she would do more than merely observe. It was time to ask provocative questions, seeking not only ingredients but insights that could further her culinary vision. Stopping at a stall teeming with vibrant produce, Emma struck up a conversation with a farmer named Greg. Instead of the usual pleasantries, she directly asked, "What inspires you most about your growing practices?" Greg paused, taken aback but intrigued. "Honestly, it's the connection to the land," he confessed, his eyes lighting up. "I put love into each seed. When people taste that, they appreciate the food in a different way." His intangible answer stirred something deep within her. Emma realized that the essence of her cafe was about fostering those connections, not only through food but through experience. She left the market with an agreement. Greg would supply her with fresh squash for her signature coconut curry. More importantly, she had gained an understanding of her purpose. Each dish must carry a story, just like Greg's farm. Back at the cafe, momentum surged as she transformed her vision into reality. The menu began to take on a personality, each dish reflecting her growth and the authenticity she wanted to convey. As she crafted the recipes, it felt less like work and more like a canvas splattered with vibrant colors of her culinary story. With this energy, Emma decided it was time to revisit Jamie. She couldn't allow his critique to dim her light any longer. A part of her had feared confrontation, but now it felt necessary, like slicing through doubt with a knife. She needed to share her vision and invite him into the narrative she was crafting, even if it was at risk of exposing her vulnerabilities. It wasn't just about proving something to Jamie. It was an essential step to solidifying her self-assurance. She planned their meeting, picturing it in her mind. Calm but firm, a blend of passion and clarity as the day waned. Emma took another step toward her new identity, not just as a cafe owner, but as a changemaker, shaped by her experiences. Each decision she made was thoughtful, investments in her craft that would resonate beyond the walls of her cafe. That evening, Emma checked her social media posts again. Engagement was higher than she expected. The anticipation for Fusion Flavor Night was palpable. Yet, amid the excitement loomed the challenge of her upcoming confrontation with Jamie. Could she navigate that delicate balancing act between assurance and vulnerability? As she locked the door behind her again, she felt a flutter of apprehension. She would need to confront more than just Jamie. She needed to confront herself, the parts of her that still craved validation. The time had come to face her choices, not just for her cafe, but for the kind of person she wanted to be. Preparing to take the plunge, Emma wrestled with her thoughts. Would she be brave enough to stand firm in her vision? Would Jamie respond with resistance, or could he emerge as an ally in her journey? With a deep breath, Emma stepped into the unknown. The day had arrived. Emma stood at the cafe entrance, a whirlwind of emotions churning within her. The morning sun broadcasted a promise of new beginnings, yet the weight of her impending conversation with Jamie loomed like a dark cloud. She brushed off the hesitation clinging to her heart as she opened the door, letting in a blast of fresh air mingled with aromas of brewing coffee and baked goods. The cafe, her sanctuary, buzzed with early customers, their chatter filling her with anticipation. Seizing the moment, she directed her focus externally, engaging with patrons, her fledgling family of coffee lovers, entrepreneurs, and curious visitors. She served with her signature smile, but internally, she was preparing herself, reviewing her intentions like an athlete before the final match. Confidence layered her words, but beneath, a tide of doubt pulled relentlessly as lunch hour approached. The cafe filled further, yet her heart raced for a different reason. Jamie was on his way, and she was finally ready to share her new culinary vision. She wiped down the counter, aligning her thoughts. Would he appreciate the evolution of her restaurant, or would he try to steer her back into a more conformist direction? The possibility of his disapproval tugged at her, but she could no longer let fear silence her creative voice. When the door swung open, a bell chimed and in walked Jamie, his familiar presence invoking a mixture of both comfort and anxiety. His scruffy beard and sharply intelligent eyes carried a hint of skepticism as they scanned the café. Emma noticed his eyes widen slightly, a fleeting acknowledgement of the transformed space before him. "Hey you," she welcomed him, trying to mask the quiver in her tone. "Thanks for coming." "Of course," he replied, trying to hide his surprise at the buzzing ambience. "You really did a number here." With a nod, Emma led him to a cozy corner table, one equipped with a lush view of her bustling café. "I'm excited to show you what I've been working on," she said, her voice firming with determination. They perused the new menu together, each dish infused with her ideals. "You're using local ingredients?" Jamie inquired, brows knitted as he examined the descriptions. The question concealed a deeper inquiry about her commitment to the concept. "Yes." Emma exhaled slowly, ensuring honesty anchored her words. "But it goes beyond just sourcing local. Each recipe tells a story. It's about connecting food with experience. I want people to see the hands that nurture the ingredients, like Greg's farm. This isn't just a cafe. It's a celebration of culture and integrity." Jamie leaned back in his chair, folding his arms, the tension between them palpable as he considered her statement. "Sounds like a mission," he replied cautiously. "But how do you balance that with running a business? People want consistency, familiarity. Or maybe they want innovation and authenticity." Emma countered, the fire in her belly sparking. "I can be both a chef and a storyteller. This is what the future of food should look like. It's about connecting hearts to the food we consume." For the first time today, Jamie's gaze warmed. "You've thought this through," he admitted slowly. Emma seized the moment. "And I need your support, Jamie. You've always been my sounding board, and I want us to share this journey. I know we can create amazing collaborations that echo our combined visions." As she spoke, she noticed Jamie's demeanor shift. Walls were slowly crumbling between them, revealing a hint of curiosity beneath his initial skepticism. Could this truly become a partnership rather than a battleground? Yet, just as a tentative alliance beckoned, the underlying tension bubbled back to the surface. Jamie's analytical brain was clearly evaluating risks, but Emma refused to retreat into uncertainty. The stakes were too high now. She couldn't afford to back down against fear or second-guess herself. She took one last chance to challenge his reservations. "So, what do you think? Do you see potential in this approach?" With his brows furrowed in contemplation, Jamie remained quiet for a moment. Emma felt each passing second stretch into eternity. Would he affirm her vision, or would his pragmatism extinguish the flame of her dreams? As the silence deepened, her mind raced with the urgency of the moment. She could almost taste the risk of vulnerability in the air, each breath laden with uncertainty. And then he spoke, but his words hung in the air like an indelible question waiting to be answered, setting the stage for an even deeper reckoning between them. What he said next would either solidify Emma's confidence or wrench her back to doubt. The silence filled the space between them like a charged atmosphere, almost electric. Emma's heart thudded steadily in her chest, each beat resonating with her unspoken dreams. She leaned forward, breaking the fragile stillness that had begun to weave itself into an uncomfortable tapestry. "Jamie," she prompted gently, releasing a shaky breath. "What's your take?" His eyes narrowed for a moment, a storm of thoughts clearly colliding behind them. "Emma," he began, choosing his words with a careful precision, "you're pulling at some formidable threads. Authenticity versus business practicality is a dichotomy that demands serious consideration. Sounds inspiring, but can you truly make it work?" The familiar tightening in her gut re-emerged, but this time, propelled by a firm knowledge. She was not merely fighting for validation. She was fighting for her vision. "That's what I want to explore," she replied resolutely. Life is about strides into the unknown. I'm willing to take risks if it means evolving into something deeper, something richer. Richer, he echoed, his voice softer now, or simply more complex. Consider the logistics, the margins, the pressure to keep the doors open. As Jamie dissected her ideas with a ruthless yet fair lens, Emma's anxiety broadened to encompass new dimensions. What had begun as a conversation over coffee transformed into a battleground of ideals, a reckoning between the idealistic entrepreneur and the pragmatist. I know it won't be easy, Emma answered, channeling her trepidation into fervor. But pushing boundaries is what art is about, right? Every plate tells a story that transcends mere nourishment. What's the point of food if it doesn't evoke feelings, provoke memories? The goal isn't to please everyone but to resonate deeply with those who matter. Jamie seemed to soften further, but skepticism lingered in his eyes. But how do you ensure sustainability? When everything is experimental, how do you prevent alienating your client base? In that moment of tension, Emma discovered an unexpected reservoir of clarity within her thoughts. By inviting them into the experience, she proposed with newfound enthusiasm. I'll host tastings, engage them in the creative process, turn diners into co-contributors. This isn't just service. It's a community engagement. They learn as much about the ingredients as I do. The idea ignited within her a captivating thrill, one that had previously felt buried beneath layers of fear and uncertainty. Emma detailed the mechanics of her plan with excitement, painting a vivid picture of interactive food experiences and intimate gatherings where meal preparation unfolded right before guests' eyes. Jamie listened intently, the skepticism diminishing as he leaned into her vision. Her plans made room for collaboration, creating a bridge between the audience and the culinary art. It was a synergy, a dance of creativity that existed beyond traditional restaurant constraints. But just as Emma felt the wind shift favorably, Jamie tipped the conversation into a new territory. And what if they don't respond? What if this vision costs you everything? Her pulse quickened, but instead of retreating into fear, she let the intensity rise. For a heartbeat, the prospect of failure felt tangible, almost suffocating. Yet, a stronger voice bubbled up within her, harmonizing with the fire she had kindled. What if it doesn't? What if it's the key to unlocking a richer experience for everyone involved? The determination to embrace potential failure alongside triumph became an empowering realization. She could forge her path with courage, accepting the uncertainties inherent in innovation, a balancing act between resilience and belief. As silence wrapped around them once more, something shifted within Emma. She understood that this discourse, however challenging, was driving her own growth. In her pursuit of culinary storytelling, she was uncovering layers of herself she had long buried, revealing resilience and a fierce dedication to her aspirations. But then Jamie's expression shifted once more as another thought struck him, a flicker of concern in his eyes questioning everything she had envisioned. Emma, what if this isn't just about you? What if there are consequences that go far beyond your cafe? What if you're risking more than just your dream? His words landed heavily, and Emma felt the room's energy change again, setting the stage for an even deeper confrontation. The timeline of her aspirations began to unfurl in unexpected ways, and now the stakes were higher than ever. She couldn't help but wonder, what sacrifices would she have to make, not just for the cafe but for herself? Emma stood at the crossroads of her culinary journey, resolutely ready for what lay ahead. The day of her fusion flavor night had arrived, the cafe adorned with vibrant decorations that echoed her entrepreneurial spirit. As the clock ticked closer to opening, she felt a kaleidoscope of emotions swirling within her. She had transformed the cafe into an embodiment of not just food, but of the stories that wove through her very identity. The phone buzzed with notifications, confirming visitors' excitement. Each ding resonated with purpose, affirming her resolve. There was no turning back. She needed to believe in the magic she was crafting not only for her patrons, but also for her daughter, Lily. She wanted more than anything for Lily to understand the power of perseverance and creativity. As the sun began to set, casting golden hues through the windows, the familiar figures of loyal customers began to arrive. Her heart raced with anticipation. The cafe pulsed with energy, and Emma felt it wrap around her like a warm embrace. She had poured her soul into this night, crafting menus that celebrated local ingredients and cultural stories. "Welcome to Fusion Flavor Night," Emma greeted her guests, excitement lacing her voice as she presented the first dish inspired by her day at the farmer's market, the local squash coconut curry. As they tasted the rich, layered flavors, the room erupted into laughter and conversation, each smile fueling her inner light. The connection blossoming between her and the patrons mirrored her own journey, one of resilience and rebirth. In the midst of the evening, she locked eyes with Jamie, who had chosen to attend and sat at a corner table, observing intently. Instead of feeling fear or hesitation, she felt empowered. They exchanged glances filled with unspoken acknowledgement here, amidst the creative chaos. She had not only summoned her courage but had also proclaimed her identity. Lily chimed in, joyfully serving plates and engaging with customers, her innocent enthusiasm spreading like wildfire. Emma knew this was lasting proof that the cafe could be a foundation for traditions and memories, paving a road for her daughter's own aspirations, the real legacy her father would have wanted. As courses flowed from the kitchen, she observed her patrons sharing stories, laughing easier, and supporting one another. She felt the tapestry of community being stitched together in real time, and her heart soared. It wasn't just about the food. It was about the camaraderie, the shared histories igniting the air with vibrant hope. The climax of the evening unfolded as Emma took a moment to address the room, her voice steady and true. "Thank you all for being here tonight. This cafe is more than a business to me. It's a confession of my journey, my father's legacy, and now, our shared experiences. You support my dream, and in turn, I will continuously strive to bring culinary magic inspired by community stories and the love we share." A round of applause erupted, a clear affirmation echoing back to her, sealing her victory. She felt lighter, each clap lifting her spirit higher. It was in this moment of shared triumph she saw Jamie visibly relax, the tension in his expression abating. There was mutual respect in the air. Perhaps the spirit of collaboration he had once doubted had blossomed fully. Post-event, her cafe buzzed with chatter and congratulations from patrons. People were eagerly discussing future flavor nights. Emma's heart swelled as Lily, full of excitement, asked if they could do a dessert-themed night featuring the sweet cakes her grandmother made. Emma beamed, envisioning delicious pastries layered with memories of her family. Later, as the final customers departed, Jamie approached Emma with a newfound sincerity. "You really have something remarkable here, Emma. I've never seen people connect this way over food. You just might teach me a thing or two." She smiled, feeling validated for her efforts. "I think we both have room to grow, Jamie. If we could work together, we might create something truly special." His nod signified a tipping point not just in their narrative but deeper, within Emma herself. She had stood firm against her fears, not only evolving her cafe into a beacon of culinary storytelling but also proving her worth against doubt and competition. With renewed confidence, Emma turned off the lights that night, her mind swirling with ideas. She was no longer just surviving. She had conquered obstacles, redefined her path, and established her place not only in her cafe but in her community. The legacy she had reclaimed was not a reflection of her father's dreams alone, but a vibrant expression of herself, an authentic journey rooted in purpose and love. Emma was not merely a cafe owner. She had emerged as a passionate community driver, inviting the world to savor not just food, but the stories behind each dish. She was ready for whatever came next, inspired by her growth and focused on continuously pursuing her true passion. This is the moment of transformation. The journey ahead gleamed brightly with the promise of discovery. You need to subscribe now to witness more incredible stories of personal transformation. Leave a like now to fuel our passion for sharing meaningful narratives. Comment your thoughts on Emma's journey and what you think lies ahead. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who are ready to embrace change and inspiration. Don't wait even one more second. Be part of this empowering community.